Let's dive in. Ladies and gentlemen, joining me on the line as he does every week, it is Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com. And as we begin this week, I have to go back in time just a little bit to yesterday. Mike and I...
Why ever would you say that?
Mike and I...
Is there something bothering you?
Mike and I touched base yesterday, just kind of, feeling out things when we're going to record and do all this kind of stuff. And in the middle of that conversation, a very, very weird rant happened. And
I wish we were recording that.
And I'll get to the subject of that here in a second, but I wanted you to know that was the first of two weird rants that happened yesterday about completely different subjects in a world of like, what the
Yeah. So for the folks at home, the beautiful rant that I wish we had recorded, because it's just, obviously it's not safe for broadcast radio.
No.
That would have been bleeding. But it was a scorching hot take that B-sox had about Christopher Paolini, the author of The Inheritance Cycle, which includes, Aragon and the sequels that came forth. They're doing a Disney Plus show for it, apparently. There was a Fox movie that a lot of people didn't like. And then we got to talking about B-sox's opinion of Christopher Paolini's writing. And
his website, the people associated with it, and his fake beard.
All of that, too. All of that. And I swear, I wish we had that recorded and dropped somewhere because, is it controversial? Yes. Would it have been so much fun to hear people's reactions, just to hear it again? Yeah. You had such creative language in there that there were some things that you said in there, and I was like, wait, are you quoting a movie, or did you just make that up? And it was just your pure vitriol for this man. Was
so the long and short of it, for those of you at home who don't know who Christopher Paolini is, he's an author, and he wrote Aragon and like you said, The Inheritance Cycle. Basically, he based it off of Star Wars and mixed Lord of the Rings in there with some dragons. And he's supposed to, in a lot of people's opinion, be this great author and stuff. And I just, you wrote a Star Wars with dragons, in my opinion.
I've never really dove into Aragon, so I really wouldn't know.
So that aside, that was legitimately a 20-minute rant. There was some stuff bubbling under the surface, and for whatever reason, I touched on that, and it exploded.
Fantastic.
As I'm driving home last night, my buddy Justin, who Mike knows, he calls me, and we got to talking, and he brought up something from a podcast that we used to do, and he went on a huge rant about him cheating in the Fallout games.
About Christopher Paolini?
No. About him cheating while playing the Fallout games.
Oh.
And it was so weird and I told him right after, I go, this is the second super weird, off-the-wall rant that I've been a part of today. One, I was the main course of it. The other one is me just listening to you go off about cheating and Fallout.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, but he did highly recommend the Fallout series on Amazon Prime. So,
oh, no question.
That's neither here nor there. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend is on the line with me. We should probably talk about movies that actually matter. Let's go to the big one this week. There are so many things to cover with this because they showed up as Beavis and Butthead at the premiere, which is fan-freaking-tastic. But The Fall Guy out this weekend.
Ryan Gosling flew Mikey Day out to the premiere just to do that gag, and then flew him right back out to go to his SNL table read back in New York.
Oh, it's so funny. It really is.
That commitment is beautiful.
What's funny is when I was requesting images for the stuff to post on the website, I asked for premiere pictures, and it gave me the standard Fall Guy premiere pictures, and then it gave me one of the Beavis and Butthead. I'm like, oh, that's brilliant.
Oh, that's our picture for the week, right?
It should be. I think it will be. It'll be in there somewhere. But anyways, The Fall Guy is out this weekend. Mike, you've seen this. What do we think?
It's okay.
Only after all that, it's only okay?
Yeah, I fully admit. And I'm just going to get the negatives out in the beginning so that way we can really focus on the positives, because the positive part of this movie is what I think it should be known for. But The Fall Guy, that trailer first comes out. You've got the sick needle drops. You've got witty dialogue. Bap, 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 bap. You've got the action and everything. And it's like, oh, this looks like Ryan Gosling is getting his sequel to The Nice Guys, crossing it with a sequel to Drive. And it's like, okay, I can get behind that.
Okay.
And that was a problem because the story to the movie feels a bit thin because the whole thing is it's supposed to be centered around this mystery where Ryan Gosling's character is a stuntman who is brought in to locate the lead of this sci-fi epic metal storm. And the sci-fi epic is being led by this man, Tom Ryder, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson. And basically it's like, okay, Tom's agent, played by Hannah Waddingham from Ted Lasso and Game of Thrones, is like, look, I need you to find him because he's gotten into some shady stuff here. And it basically turns into a sort of detective story where he's trying to figure out what happened, why is he missing, and how deep does this all go? And that part of the story kind of felt light to me, but mostly because, you know, when you're comparing it to something like The Nice Guys or even Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, these Shane Black detective stories that have really witty dialogue to them. We've seen Ryan Gosling do that before with The Nice Guys. It works perfectly. But the story just wasn't, the mystery wasn't as compelling as I wanted it to be, considering you're sort of invoking that pedigree and you're casting and like showing all that stuff off. It's like, cool, you want to be a Shane Black movie. I want another Shane Black movie, even if it's not Shane Black making it.
Yeah.
I mean, I still think Bad Times at the El Royale is one of the most Quentin Tarantino movies Tarantino never made.
Okay.
So I can value someone aping that style. But as far as the stories go, it's like you've got a rom-com, you've got a mystery, and then you've got an action movie, and you can blend all those things together. I just didn't think this blended it to my liking, but that's not saying that I didn't like the movie. And the one big thing that I value this movie for is the fact that David Leitch, the director, is a former stunt performer. Like, he was one of Keanu Reeves' stunt performers on the Matrix trilogy, if I remember correctly. And that's how he and Chad Stahelski met, and then did John Wick together. They co-directed that one. Like, the first one they co-directed. And then they end up, this company starts forming from that called 87 North, which is basically the Blumhouse for action movies. Like, you've got they've also done movies like Violent Night, Fall Guys in there too, Atomic Blonde. And another really cool thing is they invoke some of those movies straight up in the beginning. They show stunt footage from movies like Atomic Blonde or the Bourne series. Like, they show some of the stunt footage of the doubles doing the acts. And it's this whole, like, it's an opening monologue from Ryan Gosling about how, you know, all about stunt performers.
Okay.
This movie is crafted with a genuine love for stunt performers and stunts that I wish it was just mostly focused around that. Like, you could take out the mystery and then just have a story about how the actor and one of his stunt performers don't get along, and then the actor and the director have tension between them, because there's events that happen earlier in the movie that sort of separate Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling, and it's a sore spot between the two of them when they meet up again. Like, you could very easily have just focused on, we need to make this movie, we need to get these stunts right, otherwise they're shutting us down, they're pulling the plug. Like, you could have made it those stakes. But the way that they mix in that mystery plot, it's like, I figured some of the stuff out ahead of time, and it's like little things here and there were still a mystery, but it wasn't intriguing enough that it's like, this has to be in here.
Okay. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com joining me to talk about The Fall Guy, new to theaters this weekend.
Yeah,
okay.
And I will say Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, fantastic chemistry as anyone would have expected. We need to see Winston Duke in movies more. He was one of the bright spots of this movie in like a cast that absolutely crushes. He was one of the really bright spots just because of his energy with Ryan Gosling, and then he gets to be part of like this huge stunt sequence in like the final act that the man is clearly having fun. The man it's like, I like seeing people being joyful while they're doing their job, and he just totally crushed it in here. So, but yeah, it's a great cast. I would have focused the story somewhere else, but it's fun.
Okay.
And you know what? This is what studios are apparently using to start summer movie season, because have you noticed what we don't have in theaters this weekend?
Superheroes?
Exactly. It's the first time in a while. I can't even remember when. It might be, I don't know if it was last year, but it's been a while, or it's just been a while since we've had a summer without a superhero movie opening, because this weekend's, National Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah. You'd think there'd be that, or since May the 4th is a Saturday, you'd have something Star Warsy coming out.
Well, that's why Phantom Menace is re-released in theaters this weekend, and certain theaters will be doing a 24-hour marathon of all 9 movies.
Oh, cool. Really?
Yeah, starting tonight, they're going to be showing Phantom Menace, I think. And then starting tomorrow night, you have to check your listings because it's not everywhere. I almost went, but then when I saw that it was like 24 hours and the nearest theater was like an hour away, it's like, I don't think I want to do that. It's like, no, thank you.
I just looked it up here.
That's how you should do it.
Yeah, no, seriously. I just looked it up here in Iowa, in the Des Moines, central Iowa area. They will have Star Wars Episode 1. Ooh, I may have
because it's the 25th anniversary.
Oh, I may have to do this.
I kind of want to go too. And that's that and Avengers are tied for the movies that I saw the most.
Yeah.
Both of those, I've seen them like 5 times.
Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com on the line with me. As we make our way through the new movies this weekend, an interesting one out there that I've seen a couple of trailers for, and it looks fun. Tarot. It's a movie about tarot cards and monsters and death and destruction or something, right?
Yes, and I'm going to run. I need to run something by you before we get into the review.
Okay.
What if I told you this movie was originally called Horoscope?
Give me that.
Do you like better?
People wouldn't have taken it serious. I love the name more because it's just fun, and I think people would have more fun with it. But tarot, I can see why they did it.
And that's one of the conversations I had with Jacob Batalon this week. Most people know him as Ned, the guy in the chair from the Spider-Man trilogy, Tom Holland. And he's one of the actors in Tarot this weekend, and I got to talk to him about the movie. And I even asked him, like, which title do you like better? He's like, Horoscope's what drew me to the script, but I can see why they use Tarot because it's simpler, like it sort of encapsulates more what we're doing in the movie. And it's like, okay, I can't totally be upset that you ditched a bitchin' title. But I even told him, it's like, look, if Samuel L. Jackson could fight for snakes on a plane, you could have fought for Horoscope.
Horoscope seems like, take any sitcom where there's an actor in it and they're getting a part in, a movie, and that's part of the show. Yeah, it's called Horoscope. That's where that name takes me.
I'm now seeing a Friends episode where Joey Tribbiani is cast in Horoscope.
Exactly. That's kind of what I was thinking. But I mean, that's where that name takes me. So I get it. It's awesome, but I know why they didn't use it. So anyways, interview and saw the movie. What do we think?
I will just say one more thing before the review.
Okay.
Snakes on a Plane was almost called Pacific Air Flight 121 or something.
That's lame.
And then Samuel L. Jackson's like, no, this is going to be called Snakes on a Plane. And that's all I got to say on that. But yeah, so Tarot is fun. Oh, Pacific Air Flight 121. Oh my God, did I get that right? Did I get that right? Did I get up?
Nice.
I wish we could run the tape back because I want to make sure. Anyway, Tarot's fun. Tarot surprised the hell out of me, because the whole story is these young college kids. I think they're about to graduate, but these young college kids like rent an Airbnb. It's a creepy old house. There's some artifacts downstairs in a room that clearly says keep out. But in the search for booze, they go in.
Of course.
And then they find a tarot deck. And one of the girls knows how to read tarot. And she reads everybody's fortunes. But you would think that someone would have stopped and looked, ooh, this is in a really creepy ornate box with a pentagram on it. Oh, and these cards are so wonderfully like hand painted. These seem special. And then special with paranormal means caution. But that you wouldn't have a horror movie if you did that. And this was definitely, it was a lot of fun. It digs in with practical effects and practical scares. And it's also just, it has a real wit about it. Like there's a real the writing is actually pretty strong for like setting up everything in the beginning with the readings, and then you're slowly remembering it as it happens. And then there's also voiceovers that help you remember, just in case you forgot. But it moves quick. It's pretty brutal. I don't even remember if I think it's PG-13, because you never really know with some of these movies.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I've found lately, even with like The Fall Guy, I thought The Fall Guy was going to be an R-rated movie. It was PG-13. Yeah, this is a PG-13 movie, and for a PG-13, it's very selective with its scares and its kills, but it also doesn't pull punches.
Okay. Cool. Well, that's good to hear, because this seems like one of those ones that could be almost direct to video quality, you know?
Yeah, and I'm glad that it's actually look, even those sorts of movies should be going to theaters right now. Streaming is fun, but I would love to go see this with a crowd. I would love to see Tarot in a crowd with people, and that's part of why horror movies and horrors and comedies are especially important with that sort of thing, because when punchlines or jump scares land, you have to be there with a room of people.
Yeah.
Agreed. And I still remember going to see the first Purge movie, like the Purge in 2012, not the first Purge, but the first actual Purge movie. And while I was kind of disappointed by the movie, I thought the crowd reactions were great. That was like, okay, that made this worth going to see. And then later go on to love the Purge series after that. So
there you go. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com on the line with me. Another movie coming out this weekend is Unfrosted. The stars Jerry Seinfeld, Melissa McCarthy, Jim Gaffigan's in there, Hugh Grant, among many others. What do we think of this?
It's hysterical. I try not to do this too much because I don't want to set people's expectations incorrectly. But the way that I've been describing Unfrosted to people is, what if you took the right stuff, mixed it with Airplane, and the subject was Pop-Tarts? This is in no way a historically accurate record of how the Pop-Tart was created, but it is an absolutely hysterical one that crams jokes and cameos into the movie, but doesn't overstuff the movie. And there is a constant energy to it where there's so many, it really is like Airplane, where it's like, if you miss a joke, don't worry, 5 more are coming through the door.
It seems like kind of in that realm of the Weird Al movie that came out a couple years ago.
Yes, that is another reason why I like this, because it's something that biopics need to watch themselves these days and need to be very carefully constructed, because ever since Walk Hard came out, everybody brings that up, especially with the music biopics. Even with Oppenheimer last year, even though Oppenheimer was fantastic, some people were making the joke. It's like, give him a moment. J. Robert Oppenheimer's got to think about his whole life before this moment. And it's just, you really have to watch yourself with tone. And some of the better movies have skated around that. Like Rocket Man it had a musical fantasy sort of element to it, where it's like you're seeing Elton's life as a musical.
Yeah.
You've got Weird, the Al Yankovic story, where it's just like, we're not even remotely trying to tell the true story of this man. We're gonna honor the spirit of his career by making a movie the way he would make a movie. Like, well, I think he even co-wrote it, so that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, it's just like, look, instead of it's honoring the spirit of a person's career rather than just, this is what happened through their career, and this is this and this. And it's kind of funny in the way that Unfrosted sort of pays tribute to the era that gave birth to the Pop-Tart, rather than, this is what happened, totally what happened. It's like, no, yeah, sure, the U.S. government went into a space race with, two cereal companies went into a space race against each other to create this thing. Sure.
With Jerry Seinfeld in mind, I was never a Seinfeld guy. I never got the show. I don't like it. I like him as a comedian. I like him in the Comedians Driving Cars, Getting Coffee, or whatever it's called. I will tell you, the thing I respect about him the most is he seems to choose his projects very well. So when something he could be in everything, you know?
Oh, totally. And like he's even said, people have asked him on the red carpet, it's like, look, are you thinking about directing again? It's like, I'm not really thinking about it. I mean, I just kind of do what's what I have in front of me. I kind of just grab what I gravitate to. And that's perfectly fine. I mean, you get B-movie, you get cameos on 30 Rock and Curb Your Enthusiasm, and then you get a movie like Unfrosted, which, seriously, this is one that I did get to see in a theater because for our press screening, they had like a reception beforehand with like some pretty fancy Pop-Tarts.
Yeah.
And then we went into the movie, like the critics that were doing the junket and covering the film, we watched it in the screening room that was there. And that's another one where you just felt the energy and you felt like, and you kind of wanted to know what other people were going to laugh at. Like you didn't only want to know what the next joke was, you wanted to know how it was landing with people.
Yeah.
And to keep you invested like that is just something that few movies are able to do. And this was a movie where, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of Amy Schumer, but Amy Schumer works well in this movie.
Okay.
Like, if there's anybody in this movie that you think you don't like, just watch it.
Okay.
Because everybody works so well together, and your cast is stacked in this thing. And yeah, like the only thing I didn't like about it is there's a Jimmy Fallon, Meghan Trainor single that goes along with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that is my idea of hell.
Okay. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com, talking about Unfrosted here. There is one other movie this week, but we haven't seen it. And it could have kind of an interesting idea of what it might be, right?
Yeah. So The Idea of You is based off of a best-selling book of the same name by author Robin Lee. And it is about a single mother who takes her daughter to Coachella and falls in love with the lead singer of a boy band. And it stars Anne Hathaway and Nicholas Galantine.
Galatzine.
Sorry, Galatzine.
Galatzine. You kind of sung it the first time.
Man. Galatzine.
You did. You kind of sung it. It was kind of funny.
Ooh, and I didn't even mean that, but this is like a music rock. Ooh, we're cooking with gas here, folks. Anyway,
it's not quite a Christopher Polini rant, but we'll go with it.
No, well, you don't get those every day, and if you do, you're Lewis
Seriously,
Black,
go look up Christopher Polini's picture on Google and tell me that's not a fake beard.
So yeah, The Idea of You may or may not be based on a book. Well, is based on a book that may or may not be a Harry Styles fan fiction.
Okay.
And the reason people have mentioned this possibility is because there was a series of 4 books known as the After series. And that was another case where someone literally was writing fan fiction about dating like Harry Styles or someone from a boy group, and it became a hit.
Okay.
Like that was the next Twilight. And like, well, the next 50 Shades of Grey, because that was another case where it's like 50 Shades of Grey was Twilight fan fiction, but take out the vampires, throw in BDSM, and that was 50 Shades. And that's why everyone's like, well, is this book another one of those fan fictions? And I don't know if there's a clear answer yet because I haven't looked into it totally. But it's, it premiered at South by. I don't know if I haven't really heard. Oh, it looks like it's actually so far on Rotten Tomatoes. According to Wikipedia, there's 88%. It's at an 88% with 52 critics ranking in and saying it's positive and welcoming Anne Hathaway back to the rom-com.
I miss Anne.
Me too. Like, I like Anne Hathaway a lot, and I enjoy her as a performer. She was great in Interstellar. Of course, Princess Diaries, Devil Wears Prada. Those are like absolute classics. But I also like that she's another person where she's at that point in her career where she can be choosy. Yeah. In fact, she's a producer on The Idea of You. So she's personally invested in that and steering it. And I like seeing that sort of thing, especially because female talent should be, and anybody of any underutilized voice in entertainment should be given those opportunities. And I just like seeing the strides that she's made in her career for equality and also just being a great performer.
Good times. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com on the line with me. So we'll wait and see what happens with this whole The Idea of You stuff, right?
Yeah. I mean, depending on if my wife wants to watch it or not, I might give it a watch and see what happens. I don't know. I'm on the fence because it's like I do want to keep an open mind for things and watch as much as I can, especially when it's something that comes out in the year, because it's like, hey, you're doing your research. But at the same time, I only have so much time for so many things.
Anne Hathaway, when she gets a little bit older, needs to be in the remake of Golden Girls.
Ooh, Anne Hathaway would be a good Golden Girl.
Like later in life, Anne Hathaway, not now Anne Hathaway, but you know what I'm saying.
I don't think she'd mind the makeup challenge.
I mean, she's got to be about my age, I think. Yeah, she's 41.
Oh, wow.
Wow, I did not realize Anne Hathaway was 41. So,
I didn't realize you were 41.
I am 40. What year is it? 24. I'm 43 right now, actually, believe it or not.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm getting up there. Believe me, my beard is showing it. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com on the line as we talk about movies. Over in the world of movie news, as we switch gears a little bit, let's start real quick. Cobra Kai, they put out a new trailer for the series coming back to Netflix. What season? It's like season 5 or 6, right?
It is season 6, and it is the final season of Cobra Kai.
You know what's funny? I really enjoyed the Karate Kid movies and all that. There's been nothing about any of these series that has made me want to sit down and watch them.
I've heard it's actually pretty good. I've never got into Karate Kid myself, so I haven't really had the bandwidth to jump into this either. But a lot of people seem to like it. I still can't believe it started out as a YouTube Red exclusive.
Yeah.
And then shifted over to Netflix, and it's had a wonderful, healthy life. And now they're deciding to end it the same year that we're supposed to be getting a new Karate Kid movie that mixes the original timeline with Jaden Smith's timeline.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, I've heard great things about it. Just hasn't ever grabbed me. I don't know why.
Well, yeah,
I can't explain it, but...
And now basically what's happening is it's going to be, the final season is 15 episodes, and it's going to be released in 3 parts. And the first one is up this month, I believe, May 18th. Then sometime in November is part 2. And then the final batch of episodes will come out next year. And I'm assuming it's going to be 5 apiece.
Okay. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend on the line. So there's that floating around out there. I'm trying to remember what the big stuff was. The Orville season 4, I believe, is 4 or 5 is supposed to have happened. That came from one of the guys on the Orville doing a interview for movies and right now, right?
Yeah, basically what ended up happening is Peter Macon from the Orville, who plays Bortus, he was asked about season 4 because it's been a while since Orville season 3 dropped. And apparently, according to something he had said to comicbook.com, season 4 was already supposed to have happened. And his whole quote on the thing is, he's talking about Seth MacFarlane. I know he had a lot of fun, and I know that he was challenged as an actor to work on Orville, and I think that was really good for him. And I think he thinks it was really good for him, and I know he's really excited about it. And, you know, he always says it's not a dead stick. So I think that there's been a lot of rumblings, and certainly before the strike there, I think I was waiting for a call. But then there was some retooling, and then Ted, but I'm not inside his mind. I just like my conversations with him. It's still very much alive in his world, and it's up to him. I certainly would love to go back to it.
Last episode came out August 4th, 2022. I'm going to tell you, and there was the switch. The first 2 seasons were on Fox, if I remember right, and then it switched to Hulu. The first 2 seasons had a fair amount of comedy in it. There wasn't a whole lot of comedy in season 3.
I still need to watch season 3.
It's it wasn't bad, but it didn't feel like the same show. It felt like all the same characters, same sets, and all that kind of stuff. But we really, really switched what the story was about. Like they dealt with some pretty heavy stuff.
Well, yeah, but they'd always been dealing with some pretty heavy stuff on that show.
Yeah, but there was laughs attached to it. And listen, I like the show. I'm not saying this in a bad way. It just it didn't have that. It didn't have that humor aspect to it.
Yeah, well, that's always something that could be very touchy when someone tweaks it. I find it kind of very fitting that it happens in the 3rd season because you look at the run of Star Trek series. By the time you get to Deep Space Nine, that was the one that really sort of challenged the notions of Star Trek and like dove into more morally gray scenarios.
Hey, this week you brought up Star Trek before I did.
Yeah, and I'll do it again because it's valid to the conversation, but also I don't mind Star Trek being in conversation. I like Star Trek.
I love Star Trek. I just wasn't going to bring it up or I was going to try not to. But yeah, season 3 of that
Come on,
stuff.
Man. We already got Beavis and Butthead in here. Let's give Paramount their money.
Mike Reyes from Cinemablend on the line with me right now as we make our way through it. A couple other odds and ends. There's going to be a Super Nintendo World coming out. Where's that at? We don't need to dive too far into that, but where and what's going on with that?
So this is the new Super Nintendo World clone that's going to be in Universal Studios Florida's new theme park, Epic Universe. Basically, this is a land that's already been built in. They have a version of it in the California park. I believe there's a version in Japan as well. And now the latest version is going to be coming into Orlando in the big open. Next year, they're going to be opening this new third gate in the summer. We don't really have a date just yet.
I had more fun with Nintendo 64.
Ooh, I do miss the Nintendo 64. That seems to be that may be the apex of Nintendo for me. Because I do love the portable consoles, and I did grow up with the original NES. I didn't have a Super Nintendo because I switched to Sega by that point.
Yeah.
But N64 I did have, and I do miss that.
I don't know why, but holy shit, I just realized something.
What?
I will tell you later because it doesn't have anything to do with what we're doing at the moment. But I will bring it up in this conversation because it's kind of a funny thing. But no, I just when I was a kid, Nintendo came out, but I was a little too young to really get into it. We had a Nintendo. We got a Nintendo or a Super Nintendo, and I played it, but it wasn't my favorite thing. But man, N64 was it for me. That was the one that got me through late high school, through college, and then that was the last Nintendo product I really bought because I had switched to PlayStation at that point, and I'm still with PlayStation.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that Nintendo was one. I mean, I'm mixed faith here. I mean, my brothers and I would grab whatever consoles we could. So we've done Xbox and Nintendo and PlayStation. But yeah. This new Nintendo World sounds awesome because they have the Donkey Kong Minecart Madness roller coaster. And if you remember Donkey Kong Country at all, there were parts where you would have to jump over sections of the track that were missing.
Okay.
This roller coaster is going to simulate that.
Oh, God.
Well, the whole thing is the way that it does work is you are still on a cart that's attached to an actual track. But between the visual illusion that you're jumping a track and then a mechanism that's connecting the minecart to the base of that's moving on the track.
Okay.
It moves up. It moves the cart up, and it makes you feel like you're jumping when really it's just you're being raised a little bit. You're still on the track.
Okay. Being at my age now and my level of health, roller coasters and me might not get along too well.
Oh, I've always been a coaster kid, and I always will be so long as I can.
There you go. One of the other bits of news coming out, not a ton out there right now, but it looks like Kristen Stewart is going to jump back into the vampire world with Oscar Isaac. Some movie called Flesh of the Gods.
Yeah, this is pretty new. And I had saw someone had already mentioned that the two of them were going to be in a movie together, and it's from the Panos Cosmatos, the director of Mandy, Shape Out of Color, I think it's called.
Okay.
It's another, let's see, Shape Out of Color.
While you're looking up that, I mean, that's pretty brave of her to jump back into the vampire world, with all the Twilight stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it is, but at the same time, Kristen Stewart is at a point in her career right now where she's just doing what she wants.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad for that. So while some people are probably going to be attracted to it and think of, oh, yeah, totally cool, she's going back to Twilight. This is
not Twilight.
This is not Twilight. The synopsis I'm seeing here is the story follows a married couple, Raul and Alex, played by Oscar Isaac and Kristen Stewart, who descend each evening from their luxury skyscraper condo and head into an electric nighttime realm of 80s LA. When they cross paths with the mysterious and enigmatic woman and her hard-partying cabal, Raul and Alex are seduced into a glamorous, surrealistic world of hedonism, thrills, and violence.
All right. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that. All right, everybody. That sounds like a fantastic movie. Kristen Stewart, everybody.
Bring your family.
Mike Reyes from Cinemablend. Okay, real quick before we wrap up, because I want to wrap up with the AI conversation. We had kind of touched on this last week a little bit, but I want to touch a little bit more. No, the thing I was saying holy shit about, for whatever reason on TikTok and social media, do you know what movie has started coming up and being dropped into my feed for some reason?
What?
Do you remember SpaceCamp?
Yeah.
It was 1986. Kids go to SpaceCamp at NASA, end up getting launched into orbit. Leah Thompson's in there.
Kate Capshaw.
Cape Capshaw, which that's what I was holy shitting about, because I didn't put it together that she was Willie from Indiana Jones.
Oh, yeah.
I always recognized her voice, and I'm like, man, that always sounds familiar for some reason. And it finally clicked in my head as we were having the conversation. I was looking up something about SpaceCamp, and I saw it, and it was like, oh, she was Willie in that. Oh, holy. So that's what it was. But, yeah, I don't know why I live in a world where SpaceCamp is coming up on my thing. But, yeah, it's happening.
A lot of movies that are sort of lesser known or lesser regarded have been popping up on social media like that. Like, I'll be on Facebook sometime. Oh, the one that seems to pop up a lot is The Gambler, the Mark Wahlberg remake.
Yeah.
The one scene that keeps coming up, and the one scene that I've only seen of the movie that I absolutely love this scene, it's John Goodman's "F*** you" speech. I'm sure you've seen it.
See, I usually get The Martian with Matt Damon.
I think social media knows better than to show me clips of The Martian, because I have the movie and I watch it periodically from time to time. So they're like, let's not distract him too much today. Let's just we'll give him something, a little something here that he's familiar with, but not that he's going to go and watch The Martian now, because I think I'm going to throw The Martian on now when we're done with this conversation.
But no.
And that was after having The Mummy Returns on this morning, because I saw The Mummy in theaters this week.
For some reason, SpaceCamp popped up, and it's such a good movie, though. It's so preposterous, but it's so good.
I've never seen SpaceCamp.
Really? You've never seen it?
Yeah.
Oh, you got to watch it, man. It is like highbrow 80s. Like, it sums up 80s movies. Absolutely.
Oh, I'm sure.
It absolutely sums up 80s movies. You got to go watch it. Please watch it for me. Please watch it, and then let me come on the rentals thing with you and talk about it.
So you want to do SpaceCamp as an overdue rental?
Yes, I do. I totally do.
Okay, now we're okay. All right. I got to now find a copy of this movie, because it doesn't look like it's readily available, which is probably why it's on TikTok.
Oh God, Mike Reyes from Cinemablend on the line as we get ready to wrap up this week. There was another little story that came out about AI, and it kind of led to another conversation, because we had touched on this last week, that there's some guy or people that are starting to put out more and more of the AI generated like 50s versions of movies. And there was I've seen them for all the Star Wars movies now. I've seen they did Rick and Morty, they did Futurama. They are just churning this stuff out, right?
Well, yeah, because you only have to feed it a prompt, and that's it. Like, someone did The Simpsons in the 50s, and complete with voiceover. Well, I don't know if the voiceover is AI, but like, it just, boom, it's there. It's on the internet. You can watch it now.
But there was
a short video that doesn't dive into anything.
I've typed in AI 50s, and you get South Park, The Simpsons, The Terminator, Futurama, The Empire Strikes Back, Ghostbusters, Super Mario Brothers, Back to the Future. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. There's even a Breaking Bad one done in the 70s. But the reason we started talking about this, there was an article about whether or not there's going to be a Keanu Reeves movie with a Dracula movie of some sort with Jennifer Ortega showing up in it. And it apparently got a fair amount of views, right?
Yeah, and that also reminds me of not too long ago, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, when the whole Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare release push was going on. An AI trailer for Bond 26 with with Margot Robbie and Henry Cavill was released. So someone had brought it up, and it's like, fine, you know what? I tried to avoid watching it, and it's like, fine, people have mentioned this to me. Maybe I can get something out of it. It's so bad. Because it's the same thing that I'm not even going to watch that Dracula trailer because I'm sure it's the same thing just by reading the description.
Yeah.
The Dracula trailer, they're like, there's some AI work in there, but then there's footage from other movies like Dracula Untold or Van Helsing. And then it's probably their faces plastered over, half-assed plastered over these people's bodies. And then you've got really just bad impressions of the dialogue being thrown in there vocally. And just the Bond one hurt with how bad it is and how, like, okay, I can respect deep fakes that put Jim Carrey's face on Pierce Brosnan's body in The World Is Not Enough. Fine, because those were done well enough that the face mapped up, and that was the novelty of it. That's cool. But AI trailers like this are just so lazy and bad, and it's like, no, I can't. You know what? I grew up in Internet 1.0. I saw the trailer that someone put together where it's like, hey, Leonardo DiCaprio is going to be in Attack of the Clones. And they took like random footage from episode 1 and like Titanic, and they spliced that footage together in a creative way.
Yeah. Did
sure.
you ever see the deep fake of
bad AI?
Did you ever see the deep fake of the Bond versus Bond? It's Pierce Brosnan versus the new Bond.
Oh, you mean Daniel Craig?
Yeah.
I think you showed that to me. I think you did show that to I don't remember it.
Anyways, the other deep fake, I sent you one earlier this week. Did you see the Tony Soprano on Star Trek?
No, but I need to see this now.
They do this.
Someone that was doing really good deep fakes of Arnold Schwarzenegger in anything from songs to other movies, and it was someone who did a really good vocal impression of him, and then the deep fakery put his face on the body of another person. That's fine. That's funny. Like someone did a cover of Ghost Riders in the Sky, but it's a song about Arnold Schwarzenegger talking about boobs. And then you've got Sylvester Stallone as like his drummer.
The one I sent you, it starts out with a scene where Picard has given up command of the Enterprise, and Tony's sitting there and he goes, "Get the out of here."
Or there's been a whole bunch from another channel I watched where they throw in random actors' performances in like the Fallout universe.
Yeah.
Games. That's another one where it's like they blend it all so well. And it's just like you don't need to fake too much. You just little things here and there.
You know where we're getting, and I saw this yesterday, and it kind of goes into the AI universe. This guy built a mod for Skyrim, okay? And I saw a clip of it on TikTok. But basically, it took in real time is what's crazy about this. In real time, it took messages from his live chat and put it in Skyrim with different characters. So they would write something like, go f*** yourself, Mike Reyes. And then like a little girl would look at you, go f*** yourself, Mike Reyes.
Huh.
It was crazy. And it was really like, it was funny. Don't get me wrong. By the way, I really want to see a movie about someone figuring out a way to do a mod of the real world and just crazy shit starting to happen.
Oh, wow.
That'd be fun, right?
That feels like a Matrix sequel.
I got the idea when I was watching, someone made mods of Red Dead Redemption 2. It's just crazy shit happening in it. So anyways, the AI stuff continues. It's going to be weird. And watch what you see out there and pay attention, right?
Yeah, count the fingers, look at the faces, just be mindful of it. It's like AI should be a tool.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a replacement. And people need to learn that. People need to get over that. And it's just like, look, we're not going to get rid of AI totally. The genie's out of the bottle.
Yeah.
But it can be a really good tool to assist and to help our imaginations, by all means.
Just think when they run out of good actors, when they just start bringing back everybody.
That is going to be the creepiest thing, because not only has that already been approached in fiction, that's stuff that's already James Earl Jones signed over his voice rights, if I'm not mistaken, at Disney.
Yeah.
So they can keep him as Darth Vader for as long as they want, and they can regenerate it.
Didn't the lady from, what's it called? That was Bo-Katan. I can't think of her name.
Katie Sackhoff?
Yeah, didn't she do that too for her character in Star Wars?
I don't know. She might have. I mean, I'm sure. I wouldn't be surprised if they approach people with these asks.
Well, they did that like the computer from Star Trek, Gene Roddenberry's old lady.
Major Roddenberry.
Yeah,
Major Barrett Roddenberry. Sorry.
She recorded the phonetic library or whatever. Is that how you say it? Or did I just make an ass of myself? Recorded it, and so that they can always use her as that voice if they want.
See, that totally makes sense, because that was like, not only is that just utilitarian in the Star Trek world, that sort of thing would exist. Just the intent to do it from the beginning, is what really is I get that.
The planning ahead part.
Exactly.
Okay. Anyways, we could probably keep going, but I'm kind of hungry, and I brought red beans and rice today.
I want to go see The Mummy again.
I want to eat red beans and rice and maybe watch The Martian again. Or SpaceCamp. Who knows?
I would eat red beans and rice at The Mummy. Yeah, I would do that. Or you know what? No, you got to go like Mediterranean because of the setting. Like, get some Egyptian food.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't know if I've ever had Egyptian food.
I'm trying to think if I know I love Mediterranean in general, but I don't know if I've had. I mean, I wonder if Egyptian counts as Mediterranean. I might be misspeaking there, but I certainly I would love to do like a themed night with mummy food, and just it was so fun to see that in the theater for the first time. If it's still run, I think it's still going to run after this weekend. So if anyone has a chance out there, even if you've seen it a million times on DVD, trust me, seeing it in the theater is so much different.
And on that note, Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com joins me every week. Sorry, I was looking up an article about Egyptian food. And I'm legitimately curious. I've never had it, so.
I'm very curious too, because I'm imagining that I just want. I need to have lunch too.
And frankly, in Iowa, I don't know if I'm going to get a good representation of Egyptian food. So
we'll come out to the East Coast.
Okay, I can do that. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com joins me every week to talk about movies. Mike, have a great weekend.
You too. Until we take the show to Egypt, I'll see you next time.